Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to show you these videos. This is Robbie Mitchnick from BlackRock, and then I'm going to show you another video from Larry Fink from BlackRock. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to show you how the game is played. In the group today in DAIXRP.com, we're going to talk about, and I hadn't mentioned it in a while, but many of you that have been around for a while, you know that I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. I'm not now, but I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. And I've talked before about how the IPO business works when at one of these investment banks underwrites an IPO, they get allotted X number of shares and they offer those shares to their wealthy clients before the IPO. It works in a similar fashion with ETFs. And this is why you don't hear BlackRock. This is why all they talk about is Bitcoin right now, is because Bitcoin is what they have that's out there. They never, anyway, I'll go more into that in the group, but first I want to show you these two videos. There's a reason that Robbie Mitchnick, formerly of Ripple, who also wrote the XRP valuation paper, there's a reason that he won't ever say the words XRP or the he won't say XRP, he won't say Solana, he won't say any of them. And I'll go over how that works in the group. Watch this.
Robbie, let's talk a bit more about the ETF side of things. So there's the people are talking about Solana ETFs. You know, people are also talking about building baskets of companies within the crypto space to get exposure as well. Now, what are the kind of new products you expect to pop up in the ETF space that are linked to crypto?
Yeah, well, I think our focus and our strategy is going to be driven first and foremost and overwhelmingly by where we see the client demand for solutions. So, you know, we're constantly having dozens of conversations a week with clients of all types. And I think still today, the vast majority of interest certainly is Bitcoin, a little bit in Ethereum. And then in some cases, you do hear other assets pop up, but certainly less than the other two. I think there's some
less than the other two because we haven't started shouting it from the rooftops yet.
Things that we've done elsewhere as a firm, particularly in the tokenization space, where we worked with a number of these other blockchain protocols, you know, based on some of the value proposition elements that these protocols offer. So that's exciting to us. From a technology perspective.
Robbie, let's talk a bit more about...
I wanted to remind you, this is what Larry Fink said before they issued the Bitcoin ETF. He said it for a year or two, he was saying this kind of stuff.
Well, we are not having those conversations, and maybe they're talking to somebody else. So I don't want to suggest that we have perfect information, but our broad-based client relationships we've had very little interconnectivity on the conversation on crypto other than a fascination. I can tell you it is, you know, the amount of conversations we're having on climate risk and how they should navigate portfolios is a major component of the conversation. The conversations about our deficits and the conversations we're now having on inflation risk is far more dominant with our clients worldwide than the whole conversation about crypto. But if you're asking me specifically about long-term investing from sovereign wealth funds, from pension funds, from retirement services, from big family offices, the conversation about crypto is a very minor conversation compared to so many other.
In other words, the translations is we're just not ready to issue an ETF yet. But later they issued a Bitcoin ETF, and now all you see of Robbie Mitchnick, he's at Bitcoin Las Vegas, he's at all the Bitcoin conferences, and that's how they play the game. But I'm going to get more in detail into exactly how the wealthy clients get their access before that ETF comes out publicly, the same way they get access before an IPO comes out publicly. I'm going to discuss that in the group. You can go to daixrp.com, or you can click join through the under any of my YouTube videos, or you can subscribe through the X platform. The market is still kind of boring, so we'll go on past that. There's another clip out from Chris Larson tomorrow. This guy, Mr. Shift, is releasing his interview with Chris Larson. Here's another clip from it.
What's your biggest achievement with Ripple so far?
Well, I think that we've earned the trust, of this world of enterprise financial players and payment players, treasury operations. That takes a lot of work. I mean, you kind of look at it, I think we're in a pretty remarkable place, very, very big industry. It takes a lot of work and consistency to get that position. So I love that we've succeeded in the position that we're in. And I love culture that we have, which is, hats off to Brad for continuing that, really staying pure to the culture. We have just some amazing, dedicated people that are working every single day with the right core values in their heart to make a positive impact on the world. It is not easy to do. It's very, very hard to do. I love where we are right now.
Shout out to Chris Larson. You need to come to XRP Las Vegas this year. You got a lot of people that have supported what you've done more than anybody in the world. You're going on all these podcasts and all. There's no reason in the world you shouldn't come to XRP Las Vegas. Here's the Fed chair about Bitcoin and crypto
today. I think what has changed is, if you go back, that's a couple of years ago, that was the period of high-profile failures and fraud and that kind of thing. And what's happened is, I think, the industry is maturing, our understanding of it is improving, and in a sense, it's becoming much more mainstream. So all of us are revisiting, the things that were done during that era. And I think the current view is that, that it's appropriate it's always been appropriate for banks to choose their customers and to be able to undertake activities as long as they're safe and sound. In terms of, I think, I have to get back to you on 913. I think it's a broader thing that has nothing to do with crypto, but that was a piece of it. We are looking at and withdrawing many of our pieces of crypto guidance from that era, though, as you know.
Okay, and we've got look at this Bitcoin desk. I told Bitcoin desk, listen, some of your journalists are getting out of line. They're telling the truth about XRP in articles. You need to bring them back into line. They should know that they're not allowed to talk positively about XRP. They put this out. XRP is mirroring bullish pattern last seen in Bitcoin before it surged to 100K. Price action was held firm between 2 and 260, defying downward momentum with a technical signal flashing signs of stabilization. Some traders believe this could mark the start of major upside move. Check out the full XRP breakdown. Look at this, XRP primed for record rally. Ripple linked coin echoes bullish Bitcoin. You better believe it. And then the in Congress, they are heading forwards full steam now.
Well, actually, the digital assets themselves would be classified as commodities, so they would fall under the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. But a lot of them are bundled and sold by securities. And in that event, we need the superior disclosure and consumer protection provisions that are provided by the SEC. So it's very much a joint effort. Now, the reason that the Banking Committee is concentrating only on the SEC side of the equation is that commodities fall under the Senate Agriculture Committee. So we're going to have to join those efforts and dovetail them at some point. But for now, we're just putting out a framework of principles that we can follow and then move into the details of the legislation.
All right. And then here's another clip of her talking about this.
It's still, we're late, aren't we? Compared to some countries in the rest of the world, and it's sorely needed.
Oh, absolutely. If we heard one thing yesterday at our first hearing on market structure, we heard loud and clear that the United States needs to pass market structure now. In fact, one of our witnesses said we need to do it yesterday because we are without that framework. These companies have been regulated by SEC enforcement actions, which means you move into a judicial proceeding. It's costing them literally hundreds of millions of dollars in lawyers' fees and not getting them the kind of certainty that they need going forward. So we've got to get this legislation through the system so they know the rules of the road. And it's also important for our excuse me, position in the international markets. Europe has regulations, Singapore has regulations, but they're not exactly tailored to what would be a more robust U.S. economy style of regulation. So we need to take leadership here. We haven't done it yet. And that's so rare for the United States to default and sit back and not lead. And this industry wants to grow and in the United States, and they want clear rules of the road. So they're asking for regulation.
And then we've got Senator Haggerty talking about legislation.
But it's very different from the House.
This stuff is coming, folks.
The House can move this with a majority. They may be able to bring some Democrats along when the Democrats know that it's going to pass. That's not the case here in the Senate. It took months of work to get the point that we did, to get this across the 60-vote threshold here in the Senate, and we just did that last week. Here's an opportunity for a win. Here's an opportunity to build momentum. And frankly, we've got multiple jurisdictions here in the Senate that will have to come together, form committee meetings. It's going to be complicated here because of two committees that have to be involved in this, and it's going to take more time. I think my advice to everybody would be, let's take the win now, let's build momentum, and then let's dedicate our time to going further as market structure and other opportunities present themselves. But right now, timing is critical for a number of reasons. We want to get this started, we want to get this moving, and again, open up this new market for digital assets, open up this new payment mechanism so we can see the investments take place, so we can see the benefit to the American economy.
Exciting times. Now, everybody's talking about stable coins, but this guy is David Strzelecki, and he's talking about what else is going to be tokenized.
In fact, one thing I want people to be thinking about is coming up in this next week is the stable coin law that's coming out. Right. Now, what's interesting is that the stable coins are actually a way to buy long-term treasuries because they're buying the 10-year. And like USDC, USDT, that's a 10-year. But now what the stablecoin legislation is going to do is going to allow gold and silver to now be a part of a stablecoin. I believe that's a catalyst to see gold and silver launch up to new record highs right now. And so I'm pretty excited about that. Okay. But that is an answer that we're going to be seeing coming up.
Yeah, I believe somebody's going to issue both XAU for gold and XAG for silver. Some major company could come in and issue those things on the XRP ledger, and that's the fact, Jack. Look at this from DTCC. When you hear DTCC, you need to think about all the money being tokenized. Here they're showing you they've got 100 trillion under custody. Since 2020, equities grew to 74.1 trillion. ETFs to more than double 11 trillion. Money market instruments grew to 4.1 trillion, and I reminded you, all of it will be tokenized on ledgers, including the XRP ledger. I'm not going to try to say their name, but it's a senior software engineer at RippleX, talking about the lineup of possibly the best single lineup of amendments we've ever had in one release. Token escrow adds support for IOUs and MPTs. Batch adds ability to group multiple transactions and execute them atomically. Permission DEX adds permission decentralized exchanges that control who can participate. Permission delegation enables account holders to delegate specific permissions to other accounts. And then if you go down, Brad Garlinghouse says huge progress. Kudos to you, Mayuka, I think, and all devs who contributed to the release. Then we've got this was from Ondo Finance. Stablecoins are just the tip of the iceberg. And they're talking about a Blockworks interview. Outlines the thesis behind Ondo Global Markets and our platform for tokenized U.S. equities, ETFs, and bonds, and gold and silver, folks. It's all coming. But they're right, it's the tip of the iceberg. Just like Bitcoin is the tip of the iceberg, whereas XRP is this big, huge part underwater. This is the, I was just going to show you this. This is an update on the rich list. Top 10% of wallets, 500 and, let's see, how do you read this? Top 10% of wallets have 2,480 to 3029 XRP. Top 5%, 8,000 to 10,000. Top 1%, 50 to 61,476. Top 0.5, 110 plus. Top 0.1, 418,000 plus. Top 0.01, 7,460,000 plus. Top 50 to 100, 200 million to 5.78 million. Top 10, billions of XRP, mostly Ripple controlled. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com, the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below any of my YouTube videos, or you can join through X. Now, we're going to talk about how the big boys and the wealthy make money before IPOs come out, before they go public, and before ETFs hit the public market, and how that works, and why. That's why you don't hear any of these guys talking out loud about XRP ETFs yet. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.